But yeah, guys, it's fast here. I am going to teach you how to render hair in Clip Studio Paint using only 5 default brushes. Don't have to go out and get anything special for this. I think this is a good beginner way to do hair, and even me as a fairly, not to toot my own horn, but I think I'm a fairly decent artist. I also find this style pretty. It's very simple, not too complicated to do. This style will work for most straight hairstyles, most wavy hairstyles, and most loose curls. If you want more curlier hair, such as those worn in the afros or dreadlocks, you'll want to get brushes for that, and I will link some below that I really like. They're brushes by SIMKRAY. And they're really, really nice. Let me show you one. Where is it? I have so many brushes, I swear. Yeah, they're up. But yeah, the brushes by SIMKRAY are really, really nice. You get textures like this, and like this, and like that. They're all made to show like natural hair sorts of stuff. You can even do like instant braids if you have trouble drawing them. But yeah, those are what you want to do for more advanced hairstyles, but this is just very simple for the basic anime sort of straight hair. I have 2 hairstyles that I'm going to be shading right now. One is the hair down, and the other is a braid. Just a simple loose braid. Because I've been asked actually a few times how I shade hair. And it's really, really not that difficult, so here we go. First you'll want to make a palette. Our palette has the base hair color, right here. The base hair color, right here. And then a slightly darker version of the base hair color, slightly more saturated. Then we've got a nice dark purple for volume. A lighter version of the hair color for highlights. And then these 2 are rim lights, and I'll explain what those are once we get to them. So yeah, let's see how they work. So the first thing you're gonna want to do is make a new layer above the hair layer, hair flat color. Set it to clipping group. Now, if you don't know where that is, let me show you. In the layer tray, you'll find something that goes over new raster layer. It's this little box right here with another little box in it. Clipping group. What that does is that makes it so that your colors only stick to the layer below it. They don't bleed. So I set this to overlay, or multiply I should say, and then I just start laying down colors with the fill tool or the G pen. And I don't try to do anything super crazy here. I'm just trying to get the idea of where the light is going to be. That's why I drew this background here with the sun above, so I know where the light is coming from. That is a very important thing to do. In art without a background, like if you're just drawing an icon, you can kind of just eyeball it and guess where the shading is going to be. It does have to be consistent. Like, you don't want shading coming from every which way. That looks weird and people will pick up on that. But for the most part, you don't need anything too crazy here. Now, I'm using this slightly darker color. And that's just so I can see more precisely where it's all going to be. So you just kind of slap on some color here. Figure out what things give off light and what things give off shadows. So this here would probably give off a small shadow. As with this. Right behind the head here is definitely going to be in shadow. What you can even do is just shade right in here. Completely. If you want to. This side is definitely going to have more shading than this side because this side is away from the sun. Another thing you can do, instead of shading every single one like this, you can just swoop, swoop, swoop. There we go. It does not have to be precise right now. And then you might want to bring up a couple of them. You're just kind of trying to figure out where the light sits. And then I like to do one just up here. And that is the basics for where our light's gonna be. So now we can adjust the opacity. And then I go up to blur strong. Blur it once, blur it twice. And if you think it needs it, you can also do a Gaussian blur. And now, the fun part. Okay, so go to your pen palettes and go to the blur. Find the fingertip. The fingertip is what's going to make the magic here. So you just push and pull. Think of hair as three sections. So you've got the front, you've got the back, and you've got the sides. What I'm working on right now is the front. So just push and pull where you think the highlights and lowlights would be. You want to do fairly strong strokes, I'd say. And you can even come up into this line. Or bring one down really far. You can come up. Just kind of play with it. See where you want the color to go. See where it's going to look good. Now, if you get these little problems right here, don't worry about it. Just erase them. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Art is your world. You can do whatever you want. Now, I like to bring these in just a little bit. You can also use bigger or smaller brushes. I'm just using a tabletop tablet. It doesn't have a screen. So it is really, really easy to use this method. You don't need any fancy tools for this. Now, if it still seems a little too dark, you can just fix it like that. Tug. Tug. Just push and pull, see? Push and pull. It doesn't even really have to make sense. If it looks good, it's fine. We're not worried too much about realism or anatomy here. Just as long as everything is consistent, you'll be fine. Most people are not going to notice any mistakes you make. You are your own worst critic. Now, if you want even more dimension, you can just bring these down. Add some more in there. And there you go. Now, sometimes you might want to add a little bit more over here. That's fine. You can do that. If you get these little bits right here, don't worry about it. Just erase. Now what we will do is take the purple color, that really weird purple, you probably wonder why I have that there, right? Set it to multiply. Again, I'll lower the opacity too. And then in the darker areas, you see how the purple interacts with the brown? The purple brings out a little bit more dimension, and because it's not the exact same color, it will draw the visual interest. So just shade in areas that you think would have a little bit more darkness to them. Usually this is areas behind individual strands, such as the sides here, or behind the arm. Definitely in here. Could probably even bring it up a little bit here. You don't want to go overboard with this color, because this is the really dark color. This is the one that really comes out. There you go. And then that same case, just blur strong. And then Gaussian blur if you think it needs it. And then fingertip again. And just kind of work it out from there. Figure out which spots you want to bring some more dimension into, and which spots that maybe don't need it. You can use a bigger brush if you want to. Now, I'm obviously not doing anything too crazy with this character right now because she's just my model. This is actually just something I sketched up real quick so that I could demonstrate this. If you have these little areas here that you don't want to erase, just take the hard airbrush and fix them up. Fix them up, it's no big deal. And then adjust the opacity to your liking. Sometimes I like to come in with the brush too, and just tighten those up. Next up, what you'll want to do is take the highlight color, add a new layer, make it a clipping layer, always make it the clipping layer, and then go to add glow. And then go to the airbrush, hard airbrush, and just swing like that. Always follow the light. The light is going to be bigger and stronger over this way, because that's where the sun is touching it. You can add a little bit over here. And then same case, just take your fingertip and go to town. Just pull and push. Try to keep the light off of the areas where there's darks. Don't worry too much because we'll be fixing it up in a little bit. Bring it in. And then just play with the opacity, whatever makes it look good. Now, I made this fairly light, so what we're going to do is bring it out now. Anywhere that you want to emphasize the light, you can just pull and push. Emphasize, bring it out. You can barely make this a little bit brighter. And then I like to Gaussian blur that too. As well as really blur up top. Just want the lightest indication that it's there. Sometimes you want to do that, sometimes you don't. Now over the original layer, the flat layer, I like to take the lighter color and then do this. And then go for the darker color. And then do this. And then just blur it out. Set to overlay. My system kind of lags when I blur on big canvases, and I'm not sure why. Set to overlay, and then adjust the opacity as you require. Now add another layer on top. Add glow again. Now this is where the rim light is going to come in, so you want to go to the hard airbrush here. And then follow the light. The colors of your rim light is going to change depending on, what colors you've got in the piece. Now, of course, you'll want to use the rim light for your other layers as well, like the skin. But I didn't do that because this is just a really quick model. Make the brush smaller. And drag it across. Anywhere you think brighter light would hit. Adjust the opacity of that. And then take your other rim light. Again, just the same color, and you bring it down here. Now what this does is it draws a little bit of interest down here. It makes the purple slightly not so harsh. This is what we call bounced light. And you can even do the same thing with the fingertip if you want to. Again, it's your art, you can make the choices. The intensity is entirely up to you. And that is a very basic breakdown of how I do hair. You can keep going and make it as detailed or as undetailed as you want to. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this layer and bring up this layer. And actually, let me just set this up here. So we're just going to copy and paste a couple of these layers. It'll look a little bit weird, but don't worry about it. Okay, let's fix that up a little bit. We'll just want to erase everything that's not relevant, because I don't want to go over doing that again. Remove. Okay, and now we don't have to shade the bangs again. Great. Perfect. So we're gonna try to shade the braid now. Now the braid is a little bit more... It's not as complex. You can just take the airbrush or the G-pen, whichever you prefer, really. For me, I like to change it up. Take the G-pen. And try to follow the hair. So what we're going to do is do a... what I call a swoop maneuver, which is just swoop. Again, follow your light. Make it as intense as you want. And then with the shape of the braids... Also, this would probably work as a technique if you want to do like cornrows and stuff like that. But it would be very time consuming, so you're probably just better off finding a brush. Kind of like real cornrows, I guess. You may want to make this a little bit more defined. It's all about experimentation, finding what works for you. And then again, just shade in here, no big deal. So as you can see, we've got the basic shape of the airbrush done. What color? Okay, 33%. Got it! Another layer, multiply. Set it to 33 like the other one. Now we take the purple color, start going over it. And this time we'll mostly want to shade right in these little crevices here. You'll want to use a fairly small brush for this. I'm just using the G-pen set to 30. Because I'm working on a huge canvas. And again, just follow the shape of the braids. You don't want to overdo the braids, or else you could lose the details in them. And then a little bit of purple over here. Why not? Why not? And then instead of doing the blur, I'm just going to manually blur them. Which you can do anyway, but I don't usually. But with braids, you probably should, actually. So just gently blur. Make them softer. Soft like supple kitten. Oh, I just had a terrible thought. And then blur. Blur. There we go. And then, you know what time it is. You know what time it is. It's fingertip time. So on the base color layer, or not the base color, the base shadows, You want to pull up or down. One or the other, don't do both. Keep it consistent, keep it nice and steady. Gonna adjust. Now this is where it can get just a little bit finicky. Bring it up. Bring it up. And anywhere you want there to seem like there's hair. Or seem like there's strands. Can also do this with the purple. Then with the lighter color. You want just the barest amount of highlighting on the not darkened areas. And then just fingertip it again. Think about where you want the light to sit. You can go as wild as you like. Slowly. Or you can just leave them like that. Now, you'll want to do the room light again. Which again is super simple, just really lightly. Don't drown out your darks. But just do kind of lay them down wherever you think they would look good. And there you go. Now one last thing that you can do is you can add a clipping group on top of the folder with your hair. Usually I do the hair within the liner itself, like down here, you know, where the girl is, but I had to do 2 hairstyles for this tutorial, so got its own layer. And you can set to overlay, and if you feel like the hair is a little bit too desaturated, you can just take, in this case, I would take orange and just a little bit, just like that. And it just makes the hair color pop just a little bit more. Now that is the very, very basics. Obviously you can do a whole lot just to make it yourself. Make it your own. Do whatever you want. It's your world. We just live in it. I'm gonna fix that up just a little bit. And then of course you'll want to shade according to your hairstyle. But I hope this was informative. As always, I will publish the links down below if you want those natural hair brushes. They're really, really good. And yeah. I hope this was helpful. Have a good night.